My name is Tony Miller, and I am a licensed therapist in the state of Ohio. I always tell clients when they first walk in the door, I say, if you have a goal, whatever goal you have, I can help you achieve it. One of the first things I wanted to talk about was overcoming mental blocks to grief recovery. A lot of people don't know what to do with those issues, especially in the Black communities. There's a stigma to mental health.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to go see a therapist because that means I'm crazy. That means I can't solve my problems on my own. That means I'm weak or, something negative. And sometimes, unfortunately, the church kind of perpetuates that. I've heard preachers say, well, all you need is Jesus and all you need is God. Well, you do need Jesus, you do need God, but God gives people gifts. And there are therapists and life coaches who have a lot of gifts who can help a lot of people. And just be open to it. So let's talk a little bit about grief recovery. There are 5 stages to overcoming grief, and I'll name them one by one, and then I'll go into a little bit of each one. The first stage is denial. Second stage is isolation. Third stage is bargaining. Fourth stage is anger. Next stage is depression. And then finally, acceptance. All right, denial. Let's just say that you lost somebody either through a relationship or maybe someone that you were close to, they passed away. So denial basically is, this is really not happening. I'm still expecting that person to walk through the door. I'm still expecting a phone call from this person. And if it's really severe, you might set a plate out for that person or, go to pick that person up at their job and they're not there. So a lot of people have trouble getting out of that stage. But if you're experiencing that, just know that that's normal. Okay, isolation. That's where you don't want to be around anybody. You just want to be to yourself. People may call and you may not feel like talking. That's another stage in the grief process. So if you're going through that, don't think that it's abnormal, that something is wrong with you. It's a normal process of losing someone close to you. The next stage is bargaining. A lot of people go through this. Maybe that person was really good to you, really close to you. They did a lot for you, and you did a lot for them, and you really miss them. There's another person over here who, maybe disappointed you a lot, maybe abandoned you, wasn't there for you when you really needed them, and they're still here. But the person that meant a lot to you, they're gone. So you might ask yourself, or you might even ask God, well, how come you couldn't have took that person? The person who really meant something to me, they're gone. Why?
Right.
They should still be here. Or you might even internalize it and say, well, how come you couldn't have took me and let them live? So it all depends on your mindset at that point. Now let's move into the next stage, anger. This is a big one. So we're either angry at God for taking that person away from us. We may be even angry at the person who is no longer with us, or we may internalize and be angry at ourselves. And if you stay angry long enough, that can turn into depression, which is the next stage. Depression is a normal phase in the anger management process because you may not be able to sleep. You may not be able to eat. You may not be able to focus or concentrate. And if you lose weight, that's a normal stage of the depression process. If you feel like, well, I feel suicidal because this person is gone, this person is out of my life, why should I go on? That's normal. As long as you don't stay stuck there, but it is a normal part of the process. The last stage is acceptance. For some of us, we have to forgive whoever it may be. If the person close to you was murdered, you may have to forgive the person who committed the crime. If it was an accident, you may have to say, hey, I got to forgive the person who caused the accident. But forgiveness is the key. A lot of people don't really get that. If it was a breakup, male-female breakup, you may hold on to bitterness and resentment towards the other person. And that's typical, but at some point you have to let it go. Because if you don't let it go, it's going to eat at you. If you have ever heard the phrase, holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison that was intended for the other person, but you drink the poison.
Right.
So it can really have an adverse effect on you. So those are the stages.